So it is 5 o'clock. We just finished up for the day. We parked Orville, the F-750, and I had the thought, Wilbur hasn't gotten driven all week since we got the 750 back, so I wanted to get him out and just take him for a ride down toward the coffee shop. And I thought, I don't remember last time I put any gel in the fuel tanks. So I thought it'd be a good idea just to go ahead and go top off the driver's side tank that I use primarily to fuel the truck and get some, I use diesel 911. It's a good additive to put into the tanks. And I've watched a video where a guy took several different brands, and the diesel 911 actually performed the best for the most part. And he put the additive in the fuel, he put it in the freezer, he did all these different fuels. So I actually got to see video. So unless he cheated, which I don't see why he would have benefited from it, the diesel 911 was number 2, and I couldn't find the one that ranked number 1. So it's really easy to use that stuff. The numbers on it, at 32 degrees, diesel will start to turn kind of cloudy, and then between 10 and 15 degrees, and this is Fahrenheit, between 10 and 15 degrees Fahrenheit, there's a paraffin in diesel, and that paraffin starts to separate and almost kind of coagulate in the diesel fuel. And that's what causes it to gel and get really thick. And it'll clog up your filter, your fuel tank. It'll, clog up in your fuel lines. And if you ever have a gelling issue, and you can catch a ride to a parts store or whatever, you can actually take your fuel filter off and pour some of it in the fuel filter, twist it on there, let it, you can shake it a little bit, and it'll help dissolve that stuff. And then you can just hit your starter and turn the engine over a little bit, and it'll pump that stuff into the system, and it can clear it up. So in general, when I fill up the truck, if I check the weather on my phone, which it don't matter really where you check the weather, but check your weather, especially in your winter times, and if it's showing that it's going to get down right at 32 degrees or below, I say go ahead and put that additive in it. And it's, to my knowledge also, that it helps lubricate the diesel fuel. The new low sulfur diesel fuel it seems to be, I guess, more viscous, or it's just not as lubricated as it used to be in the old days, the way that they refine it. So you can run anti-gel and diesel lubricator year round if you want to, but what I use to treat 100 gallons costs me about $8, so not too much. But it does add up, and it does take off your bottom line. So what I'll do is, I know that my left side tank is a 75-gallon tank, so I can get the bottle. There's 2 diesel 911s. At the bottom, on the front of the bottle, it'll say treats 40 gallons, or there's a bottle that treats 100 gallons. I'm just going to pour 3/4 of the bigger bottle into this tank, and I pour it in before I start pumping my fuel. That way it's kind of in there in the middle. And I also don't fill the tank completely full. That way there's room in the tank for the fuel to slosh around and really mix this stuff up. Another thing that I'll do is, I've got my antifreeze, and in these old diesels, the green antifreeze works just fine. I use Prestone 50/50 diluted. And after I run the truck, if I check the sight glass on my radiator and I don't see coolant in it, I'll let the engine cool off, and then I'll fill it up until just below that sight glass. That way when it gets hot, you know, and there's air in the system and it expands, you know, you're not going to be spewing coolant out of your radiator. So that's the gist. There's really not a lot to winterizing these trucks. One thing you can do is, if I knew I was going to store this truck for more than a week, week and a half, I'll go around to all the grease fittings. It's warm grease. I won't let, you know, grease that's been sitting in 0-degree weather or something. As long as it's fairly warm, and I'll go around and I'll hit each grease fitting a couple of times, and then I'll drive it and I'll run the bed. I'll run every joint that has a fitting essentially and get it real good coated with a fresh coat of grease, and that way water can't get in those joints and then freeze and thaw, because over time it will have an effect. It's not going to be a whole lot, but it will. And try to park with your bed up in the air if it's a dump truck, because if your bed is watertight and you're facing downhill or flat to where when it rains or snows, water can collect in the bed, when it freezes, it can actually bust the seams and, you know, bust your welds loose. So, you know, store that truck with the bed up in the air. So I'm going to pull in here. We're going to throw the additive in the tank, top this sucker off. Alright, so this is the supplement that I use. It's made by Power Service diesel fuel supplement. I said diesel 911, but you know, a lot of these are fairly similar. So you can see there, winterizer and anti-gel. Okay, so I was wrong. I actually had about half this 100-gallon treatment bottle, so we just pour it straight into our fuel tank there. Well, that's 40. I'm sorry, 50 gallons. I'm trying to think about two things at one time. Okay, so there's 50 gallons. And what I'm going to do is, since this treats 100 gallons too. Cool. All right, so we're just going to go ahead and do half of this one in here. Right on the money. Okay, so now I'm gonna take this one right around here, and this tank's about half full right now, so that works out. Oh man, I really had the torque put on that one. Let's see here. Yeah, that's about half full, so let's just go ahead and dump this in here. Alright, now I use this tank primarily to put my auxiliary pump down in here, and I'll fuel the excavator, the tractor on site. So I've got my valves for my cross tube that allows the tanks to equalize. I've got it shut off, and so they're not going to equalize when I fill this one up, so it won't get out of equilibrium. I usually go by regular fuel stations because these high flow pumps are nice, but $3.69 a gallon is not so nice. So I'll splurge today, but I just spent, I think, like just under $3 a gallon the other day. It's not gonna make a big difference. I don't have a whole lot of fuel to add in this guy to fill him up. Let's see if that coolant, let's see if we need to add a little bit. I don't even think I got this engine really hot. Nope, see there? There wasn't coolant in that sight glass when it was cold, but now we know there's enough coolant in there, and that tells me that there's enough coolant in it. How's it going, buddy? There's enough coolant in it to allow my engine block heater to work if I have to plug it in. I'm gonna try not to crank old Wilbur here. when it's that cold, it'll be a little hard on this old truck. Now Orville, that new F750, man, you can turn the switch on, the glow plugs heat for about 2 seconds and it fires right up. Sweet. So let's see how many gallons we gotta add to this thing. So one thing to note, I try to stick my nozzle in there a pretty good bit, because if I just barely hang it on the inside, it's going to allow this to fill the tank all the way up before it automatically cuts off. So I leave it stuck in there pretty good, and that way it'll only fill this tank up to about right there, really. And that's plenty of room to slosh around and get that additive really mixed in good. See, that fuel's just where I want it to be at. Need to get my wrist set. There it is. Slow poke. Alright, while that's printing, this is my fuel filter. They had it mounted conveniently right here, and this one has a drain on the bottom. So for anybody, if you did have a fuel gelling problem, you can just crack that sucker open and drain your fuel into a 20-ounce bottle or cup or whatever. You know, you don't really want to just dump it on the ground unnecessarily. Drain that sucker out, and then you can just unscrew this thing and fill it from the top with some of that anti-gel. And you don't have to be shy with it. You can't really overdo it necessarily. I would probably put about that much anti-gel, screw it back on, and then, you know, once you hit the starter, it's going to start pulling fuel into this thing. So if you got an electric fuel pump, you know, you just turn the key on and it'll prime it for you. So there you go. All right, and that's all there is to really winterizing an old truck like this. There's not a whole lot. Hopefully those little tips help somebody and will make your life a little bit easier. So just a quick recap, essentially, if the temperature is going to get down to 32 or below, I add the additive to it. But definitely, if you're going to get down 20 degrees or colder, you almost have to put that additive in there. If it's number 2 diesel. So if what you're getting at the pump is number 2 diesel, those are the numbers that you need to look for. Hopefully this video helps somebody. Drop any questions you have for me in the comments. If you're new to the channel, it just tickled me to death if you'd hit the subscribe button, and we'll see you guys on the next video.